Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanim. So let's begin here. This article is on U.Today and it's titled, Ripple CEO celebrates transparency victory as Hinman emails to be unsealed. Obviously, this is a major moment. Those documents they've been trying to hold back for a long time. We've already heard that there's possible corruption. Now it may be able to be verified through these Hinman emails. So let's read this little tidbit. It says, CEO Brad Garlinghouse announced another win for transparency with a court ruling that the unredacted emails of former SEC official William Hinman will soon be publicly available. Quote, stay tuned as the lawyers work through the mechanics to make that happen, Garlinghouse commented. So it's going to take a little time. It says this revelation comes amid the ongoing lawsuit between the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and Ripple, which revolves around. OK, so that part we know. It says the ruling issued by Judge Torres denied the SEC's motion to seal the Hinman documents, an action hailed by Garlinghouse as a significant stride toward transparency and exposing. It's going to expose a heck of a lot of corruption if what we think is there is actually there. It's going to blow the lid off the entire crypto industry. It doesn't just have implications for XRP. It has implications for everything. Every utility coin has been held back, and why certain cryptos have been favored over others. Like I said, behind, and it's not just my thoughts, but a lot of experts have said there's a lot of money that has flowed around behind the scenes. We saw that verified through the FTX debacle, where Sam Bankman-Fried allegedly was paying like over 300 politicians. Not only that, had money flowing through certain companies. I'll leave it at that. You do your own research on that. So, but this could be much, much bigger. This is a regulator, right? The SEC is in a bad position, and that puts us in a good position. So it's here, the Hinman emails could potentially shed light on the SEC's internal discussions and viewpoints on the matter, which have been under scrutiny. I wonder why it's just emails. Wouldn't it be, I mean, do they have work phones, right? Work phones? Wouldn't text messages fall under this as well? Why is it just emails? Emails should be text messages. When they're making phone calls at the SEC, are those recorded? I mean, I don't know how far everyone wants to go, but in my humble opinion, I would go all the way. Now, I'm not sure if any of those other things were admissible. Probably not. I mean, Ripple has the best of the best lawyers, but I mean, as of right now, everything's looking good. It says the court's ruling includes several other notable decisions. The SEC's motion to seal was denied regarding the Hinman speech documents, but granted for its other requests. We'll see how that all works out. As of now, this is a massive, massive victory that brings us one step closer to the ending of this case. And in my humble opinion, the ending of this case means the explosion of not only XRP, but other bank coins that share a similar use case. So that could be the beginning of a massive bull run. That could be the first step in all of these. That could bring in the first wave. Actually, let me rephrase. The first wave, right? Where there's an explosion in price, possibly. And then we build from there, right? So, I mean, I'm all for it. I know we're all waiting for that to occur. Let's move on to this next article here. So another piece of massive news occurred today. And this is one of the reasons I like Ripple. They don't make it any secret what they're doing. If they have a partnership, they're going to give you something. I'm sure there's a lot of partnerships they're sitting on, but they also come forward and they give you something. Every few weeks, we're hearing announcements about a massive partnership and a good amount of them. So let's read this little tidbit here. This is actually from Ripple.com. And it's titled, Ripple takes on the crypto custody market with Medico. It says the growing institutional crypto custody market is expected to reach a staggering $10 trillion by 2030. 10 trillion. Every time we're talking about XRP, we're talking trillions. It's so mind-blowing. A lot of people, they don't want to accept that, but it's nothing I can do about it. But let's continue on here. It says custody is a key facet of the infrastructure required for enterprise crypto services. A recent research conducted by Ripple shows that most global finance leaders at financial institutions and enterprises have plans to use crypto custody solutions in their business within the next 3 years, primarily through a third-party provider. So Ripple is putting itself in a position to move a piece of those trillions. Now you have trillions from all of these different sectors. What does that add up to? How does that affect the price of XRP? It says Ripple and Medico join forces. Ripple is taking on the crypto custody market and is excited to announce its acquisition of Medico, a Swiss-based provider of digital asset custody and tokenization technology. Let me pause there also. Everything happens in steps. That's life. It's very rare where something just explodes for no reason at all. And of course, that's very risky. Now, a lot of people will point to me and say, hey, well, Alfani, what about these meme coins? Meme coins are definitely very risky. Sure, some people made some profits off of certain meme coins and such. But also, you read article after article about people losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm talking about things where it's not, everything is a risk, but not as risky. Things where it's legit business. You don't have to really worry about losing hundreds of thousands. No, you're more worried about making hundreds of thousands and such, because you're looking for smart investments. This is what the bank coins are. And so they take time to set up. They're ingrained in infrastructures, governments, businesses. They're trying to update constantly. They're battling regulators, all these different things. It takes time. It is a process. It doesn't work. It's not. These are not quick money plays. I have to say that again, because a lot of people, they definitely let me know that they, in a lot of different ways, they look at these as they hope to be quick money plays, and they're just not that. Sure, you can have an explosion in price, but mainly the people who have been long holders, long-term investors in XRP, XLM, Algorand, things like that, they're looking at them as possible generators of not only riches, but possibly wealth, generational wealth. You hear this a lot, in particular when it comes to XRP, because of what it can do, okay? But when you're dealing with something like that, I look at them as long-term investments, no different than gold, silver, platinum, and maybe just with a little bit more volatility. And that's only at certain times, truth be told. I don't see them as having any more volatility than, let's say, like platinum or something like that. Which actually right now, platinum is actually pretty stable in my humble opinion compared to everything else if you've been watching the charts. But let's continue on here. It says, Ripple and Medico share strong crypto DNA, top-tier institutional customers, and long history of working with regulated entities to create a secure enterprise-grade solutions. With this acquisition, Ripple will expand its enterprise offerings, providing customers the technology to custody, issue, and settle any type of tokenized asset. Medico will dramatically accelerate its growth trajectory through access to Ripple's established base of hundreds of customers. And we know who those customers are. Banks. Let's continue on here, right? This is capital to address new demand and resources to continue delivering on its commitment to banking and institutional clients. Here's a quote. Medico is a proven leader in institutional digital asset custody with an exceptional executive bench and truly unmatched customer record. This is major, unquote, said Brad Garlinghouse. No, I added it's major, right? Brad didn't say that. It says, quote, through the strength of our balance sheet and financial position, Ripple will continue pressing our advantage in the areas critical to crypto infrastructure. Bringing on Medico is monumental for our growing product suite and expanding global footprint. Okay, so now let's move on to another article here. So this article is from U.Today and it's titled, Ripple CEO incredibly bullish on company's trajectory despite crypto winter. So as you can see, we hear this all the time. A lot of these experts still consider us to be in crypto winter. I say that to sort of juxtapose a lot of people saying that we're in like a bull run right now, which, hey, if that's what you believe and you consider, so be it. But I'm just juxtaposing there because I still firmly believe we're not in a true bull run. A true bull run would be like what you saw before when I first came into the crypto industry and everybody was making insane gains. And, one asset after another was just exploding. That's a bull run in my humble opinion. But if you believe differently, I can respect that. So be it. It says here, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says he is incredibly bullish about the company's trajectory as the crypto industry emerges from its coldest winter yet. He emphasizes the company's daily vision, which includes focusing on the long-term potential of cryptocurrency utility and teaming up with like-minded individuals. And here's actually, they have a little bit, I guess this is in correlation with the medical acquisition that they just did. It says, coming out of one of the coldest crypto winters yet, I'm incredibly bullish about Ripple's trajectory. This is from Brad Garlinghouse himself. Every day we're thinking about the long-term opportunity of crypto utility. That's where, listen, I know people don't want to hear that. And listen, I do believe once the case is over, XRP can go to a very, very good price, very, very good price. And it will drag XLM up with it. That's what I believe. Doesn't mean that that's a guarantee. I'm not in control of XRP, XLM, Ripple, Stellar, etc. That's what I see from my research. Okay, that's what I believe. But even though that money will be good, the real money, if this is all going to work out, the real money is in the long term. When all the banks are up and running and all this tokenization value is flowing, that's going to take time. As you've seen already, it's taken time. When all of that is flowing, why would that not be the time when everything is at its peak? When everything's up and flowing and everything's running and crypto is legitimate, that's when everything is at its peak. That has to be where the biggest money is. It's just a matter of watching the catalyst to know when that time period is going to be. And I think we're all going to think something different because we all have different minds. We're going to make different calculations. So I have my calculations based on how much crypto I have and, of these different things, assets. And you may have a different timeline. You get what I'm saying? But the long term, nonetheless, I believe the long term is where the big money is. And who knows how long term is going to be? Maybe they get everything done quickly and it's a few years. Maybe they get everything done in 1 year. I find that highly unlikely, and I'm talking about reaching its potential, reaching its max of what everything can really do. I doubt that it's all reached in 1 year after they get a victory over the SEC. But I do believe that price will explode, no problem. But that's nowhere near, in my humble opinion, where it could go. Sky's the limit. That's how I feel. But it's all up to the companies and how much of a push they're going to make. They got to have that hunger in their belly, and I think a few of them do. They make no secret about that. Let's continue on reading this a little bit here. So, Garlinghouse tweeted, quote, coming out of the coldest, okay, we read that part already. The Ripple CEO was responding to the news of the business's recent acquisition, which he describes as massive. I agree with that. Ripple just announced it plans to take on the crypto custody market. Okay, so now they're just getting into reiterating what we already read. So now we're going to move forward here, all right? So now let's go on to this article here. And this just shows you the potential. Can you imagine when news breaks of an outright victory, what XRP's price is going to do? But some people don't believe that, right? This is also from U.Today. They're doing a great job over there. Check them out. And it's titled, XRP shoots up 7% as latest ruling favored Ripple over SEC details. And this shows, and this is nothing compared to what's going to happen. It's my humble opinion. It's not financial advice, not a financial advisor. All right. You got to make up your own mind, right? Make your own decisions. But let's read this a little bit here. It says, both Ripple and the XRP community are elated at the moment, following the latest victory scored by the blockchain payments firm over the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. The latest win has helped in shooting the price of XRP to a new daily high, as the cryptocurrency is up 7% to a spot price of 44 cents. And it says here, XRP and core growth trigger. The growth in the price of XRP, as observed, has been quite distinct, especially given the fact that the crypto ecosystem is currently seeing an encompassing price slump at this time. The general bearish slump has even made the XRP bounce more obvious, as it is the only digital currency in the top 10 of the most valuable coins, with significant 4.5% growth in the week-to-date period. The key trigger for this growth is the latest ruling from Judge Torres. The ruling has generated a lot of interest in the XRP community, with Ripple Labs CEO Brad Garlinghouse marking the ruling a move toward transparency. So we heard a little bit about that before. Just imagine if as these documents are being unsealed, it's not just unsealing, unredacted. Just imagine if we find something there, if there is anything found there that directly points to corruption, we have assured ourselves victory. In my humble opinion, unless the corruption runs deeper than we know, we have assured ourselves victory. And that XRP, oh my goodness, I would expect, it's not a guarantee, I would expect that price to explode. And I think that all of crypto will be rejoicing if there is corruption, if it's confirmed. I mean, we already heard certain things. I don't know why that's not impactful. Remember when that one, there was someone who, this is what the article said, there was someone who was an authority figure within the regulator's sphere. And they had told William Hinman, hey, what you're doing might be illegal. You remember that? It's so crazy. It's like we read that article, everybody was talking about it, and then all of a sudden it's like it doesn't exist anymore. It's like it got swept under the rug. What happened to that? Why is that not massive? I mean, I guess one could say, oh, well, that person's just saying that, and that's just hearsay. You need, I guess maybe they need harder evidence. That should have been major, in my humble opinion. And I know the judge had to see that, had to read that, had to hear that. Did anybody, lawyers or anyone, reach out to that individual to get a statement or anything? I mean, there's so many things that are just suspicious, in my humble opinion, mind-blowing about this case. It is very, very peculiar. There's nothing normal about this. Now we have a little bit of stellar news here. This is very interesting. I always look at things with a side eye when a company does something. They don't just do it for no reason at all. It's strategy all the way. So this tweet here says, join us at Meridian. This is Stellar's event, 2023 in Madrid, September 26th through the 28th. This year is all about unlocking human potential. Really. And we'll dive into all the real world utility of hashtag Stellar. That can't be all that this is about. There is no way. Why do I say that? In this advertisement, they obviously, listen, either they spent big money to get Idris Elba into this commercial, the Idris Elba, salute to you, sir, by the way, or he must be a believer in Stellar. It's one of the two. But either way, let's put that to the side. They want to draw attention to this event for some reason. Is there a big announcement that may be made? I think that there's a possibility. Of course, listen, this is just full speculation right now. But I mean, look at to draw attention like that, to have one of the top actors in Hollywood right now at your event, you're trying to pull as many eyes in as possible. There has to be a reason why. Cause and effect. Look, and I'll tell you what, Stellar, they came out with the UN aid program. They made that announcement. Then they came out with Franklin Templeton. They had a bunch of other projects they came out with. Soroban. Remember the MoneyGram thing, I think they would announce this year. Remember, that was a leak. That wasn't supposed to come out. I believe that they're drawing all eyes here, maybe to make some announcements. Maybe there's something big they want to say. And then if you pay attention, and I understand, listen, I understand. I worked in a few industries, trust me on this. So I understand there's some excitement being around, certain celebrities, right? Danelle, but she looks very happy in this clip. I read people, look, you've been in the industry for a long enough time, right? You've done some business in different sectors. You start reading people's energy. And her energy here doesn't just say, I'm happy. Look at the way she's looking down at the phone. Look at the way she furrows her brow right there like that. Then look at the smile. It's a smile, but it's also like a smirk, right? But the whole time her shoulders are up and back. This is strategic. It's conveying a message. You got to read body language. This is not just the body language of someone who is happy to just be around a celebrity. Danelle Dixon has been around some of the most powerful people in the world. The world. They control the money. So It has to be more than just being excited to be around celebrity, in my humble opinion. But this tells me, this body language here, and anybody can take a body language reading class. Anybody can buy a body language reading book, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is the body language of an individual who has something they want to reveal, and they're very happy about it. They're very excited about it, and they wish that they could unveil it now, but they can't. This is someone who's accomplished insane things already. Remember the IBM way back when? I know things have changed since then. Then MoneyGram, United Nations. She herself in an interview says she had multiple meetings with people, with heads of central banks. We'll see what happens with that another time if they can actuate on that. Franklin Templeton. But yet is carrying this energy. There has to be something massive that she's sitting on as far as information. That's the way I'm taking it. That's the way I'm taking it. And Mr. Elba is there to pull all the eyes in. Possibly for some kind of unveiling. But we will see. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But we will see. But that is interesting. Watch that clip. Watch the body language. Now, there's so much more I could say about that clip, but let's move on here. Okay, I'm just putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So now we have a little bit of XDC news. So XDC put out this little tweet here where they're giving updates. It says launching into another hashtag XDC network week in review. XDC is going to dominate. They're going to dominate. And you know what's very interesting? They don't make it easy to find their information. But when you go digging into XDC information, do it. If you like XDC Zenfin and all you know is trade finance, go digging. Look at those, like, I don't know what they call them. They're like groups, panels, governmental groups, panels, central bank panels, things like that. They're on, I can't remember the name of the big one. They're on a big one. They're on a big, I showed the document on one of the videos. People got to screenshot it. I hope they did. I hope they went to the website and downloaded it. Okay. They are walking arm in arm with so many banks. What Zenfin has been able to do in this last few years is mind blowing. Don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. All right. But then you have things like this. But let's read this. It says we're covering everything from fresh partnerships to key events. First thing they have here is, says they have some sort of event going on in collaboration with Citibank and the MENA region, the MENA FinTech. They're very strategic. See, one thing about the Zenfin team, they're filled with genius minds. Genius. They don't play around at all. Everything that they do is serious business. Serious business. It says organized a session discussing the massive potential of blockchain-based tokenization impacting lives and the global economy. When XDC says something like that, you better take it serious. This is a project I'm watching into the future. This is all the investments I've been talking about for a while now are long-term for me, long-term investments. All right. Number two, they say here, ecosystem interoperability received a boost with Poly Network 2's integration with XDC. So they continue to become even stronger and better. And that's another thing I like about XDC and Zenfin team. They continue to improve, which is a trait of most of the bank coins. They're all continuously moving forward at a rapid pace. And I don't think that most of them have even begun to unveil their full potential because they don't want their competition, the legacy system, they don't want them to copy or try to catch up or surpass them. I think they're sitting on a lot of different things that they could announce or deploy. It says this collaboration is a step forward in enriching Web3 user experience. Number three, here's number three. It says the XDC network recently hosted an event featuring industry experts discussing the Web3 ecosystem and its regulatory landscape in the United Arab Emirates. So they have event they're holding with at the main of FinTech. And then they recently hosted an event specifically about the United Arab Emirates. Why? Because they understand in the MENA region, it's going to be one of the hubs of crypto. And in the MENA region, they're trying to tokenize everything. Because in the MENA region, they know how to make money and it's going to flow. And XDC is saying, wait. We want in. If Ripple gets to sit at the table, Hedera gets to sit at the table, if Algorand gets to sit at the table, then let me pull up a chair because we are also going to sit at the table. And when XDC comes in, when Zenfin comes in, they always make a splash. So I want to read this a little bit here. This is from Forbes.com. So I read a lot of articles like this. I mean, it's a hot topic right now. But because it's from Forbes, I felt it was rather significant. People take Forbes very seriously. This is what it's titled. It says, could the US dollar collapse? And I thought they took a rather balanced approach to this, so I respected it. Let's read this little tidbit here. It says, whoa, that's a big statement. If you're someone from Argentina, Venezuela, or Russia, you understand the realities of what can happen when your home currency fails. It's a big deal. And it can cause immense financial damage to the economy and individuals. But is it actually realistic to think that the US dollar, the world's reserve currency, I want you to pay attention to how they continue to say something like that. They continuously are saying world's reserve currency, the global currency, things like that. And what they're not saying here, in all due respect to the writers of Forbes, they did a good job on this article. All due respect, that's exactly what China and the BRICS nations are trying to take away, that world reserve currency status. But let's continue on here. It says, but is it actually realistic to think that the US dollar, the world's reserve currency, could collapse too? It doesn't need to fully collapse to zero. All it needs to do is be greatly diminished. That's all it needs to do. That's all they need to do. And it would be absolutely destructive to the West, to the United States. Let's continue on. It says, look, we'll cut to the chase. It's unlikely. That's their humble opinion. Well, not really humble opinion. That's their opinion. And my humble opinion is 50-50. Right now, no. You know what? I say we have to see the efforts of the common currency first. And we haven't seen the result as of yet. The cause is there because everyone is looking toward dollar dumping, de-dollarization. They're taking actions towards that now. But we have to wait to see the effect. That's the cause. We have to wait to see the effects. So maybe I shouldn't say 50-50. In my mind right now, it's starting to slant towards the way where I do think the dollar is in jeopardy. I think the dollar is in big trouble. I hope that it's not. But I understand the world changes. And change is the only constant. So I'm keeping my eye on that. Because I want to protect my value at all times and at all cost. It's one of the reasons I've been going heavy into the metals. Heavy. I never worry about gold. Never. I know it's down a little bit today. Then you saw it come up a little bit. Don't worry about that. That's people liquidating to go play. But gold holds your value. And that's another thing. There's so many catalysts for gold to explode towards the middle to end of the year, depending on the economic circumstances. Right now, things aren't going good. But one of the reasons I play heavy in the metals, silver, gold, platinum, heavy, is because I want to protect my value for the future. But let's continue on here. It says, look, we'll cut to the chase. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. Nothing in this world of money and finance. Oh, nothing is in this world of money and finance. My apologies, I read that wrong. For investors, it's important to understand the potential outcomes that could impact their finances. That's what I was just talking about. And even if they're unlikely. So, listen, that's how they feel. It says, what is a currency collapse? We know what a currency collapse is. Says, so a currency collapses when there is no longer any trust that the asset, country, or organization has sufficient value to reflect the currency. This can happen for a number of reasons. That's why I read that to get to this point here. It says hyperinflation. When hyperinflation occurs, every dollar becomes less valuable. $10 might buy you a 12 case of Pepsi today. And then tomorrow, that same $10 only buys you 6 Pepsis. The currency's value becomes less and less. And this can create a spiral that ends up in it becoming practically worthless. Hyperinflation is, I think more deflation is a problem right now, but is it possible? It depends. The Fed is so flip-floppy, there's no way to know. We have to just stay up on the catalyst, stay up on the abreast of the catalyst, and then that's the only way that we can have a solid anticipatory response to what may come. Political and instability. So while not something we expect to see in the US, what? Oh, okay. So it says governments can be overthrown. All right. It says when there is a military coup, a war, or another event resulting in political upheaval, a country's currency can often be a casualty. What about a dysfunctional political scene where no one gets along? They can barely come together for raising of the debt ceiling, which really they should just be able to solve the debt. That would be much better, solve the debt. But I understand that they're not going to do that. Not because it can't be done, but because a lot of, well, let's move on from there. It says high debt. Many countries have high levels of debt these days. That's an understatement when it comes to the United States, an understatement. But keep the debt in mind. Many countries have high levels of debt these days, but this is all relative to the strength of the underlying economy. Do you perceive the economy right now as being strong? It says when a country has very high debt and a shrinking economy, this can cause flight of assets and a collapse of the currency. Flight of assets. What's been happening lately? So these are just a few examples. Others include trade imbalances, loss of status as global reserve currency, loss of status as global reserve currency. Now they're going to reference to when other things were the global reserve currency at some point in this article. But here's the difference. At that time, those places weren't literally globally hated. There's a significant difference. It's not just about these countries de-dollarizing, dumping the dollar, right? It's that they have a lot of them have a disdain for the United States, the mostly the government, not the people on the ground, but they have a disdain because they believe that the United States has been bullying them, right? Mistreating them, weaponizing the dollar against them, so, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, there's a bit of revenge in these activities. So that's a significant difference. So, I mean, well, let's continue on here. It makes it that much more potent when you think about what they're attempting to do. It's not just about taking away your status as the global reserve currency. No, it's about absolutely defanging you, declawing you. I'll just leave it at that. It says here, the US dollar special status. Unlike any other country in the world, the US dollar has a special place in the global financial system. That's because it's the global reserve currency. So then what happens when that's removed? You see where I'm going? You understand what I mean? I know you do. So it's a practical one too. For example, many global financial contracts, I just covered that, something that was speaking about that, where now the global, a lot of the financial contracts around the globe, let me phrase it that way, are LCTs, local currency transactions. A lot of them are moving that way to LCTs. They're not using the dollar anymore. And a lot of other countries will be moving towards LCTs. I just dropped a video in the members only section this morning. If you are a member, check it out. Check it out. These things that we're covering here have an impact on everything that has value that may be tied to a US dollar or a euro, anything to the West. And everyone who lives in the West should know about these things. It's going to impact everybody. Right now, there are 11 countries that use the US dollar as their official currency. Okay. The US dollar has been able to gain and maintain this special status because of the strength of the economy. The US is still the biggest economy in the world by far, with an annual GDP of $23 trillion. Second is China with 17.7 trillion. And way back in third is Japan with 4.9 trillion. Here's the problem with that type of thinking. The BRICS nations are going to be working together as one. They're coming together as one, coming up with a common currency. And they're all, I mean, so that sort of nullifies this whole, well, we have the biggest economy thing. Look, I hope for the best. I prepare for the worst. I'm not trying to have my head in the sand while all this is going down. And if nothing happens, that's great. We continue to make money. We continue to do business and live well and try to do good. But if something is going to happen, I want to know about it so I can prepare ahead of time. I'm not caught blindsided. So, we'll continue to approach this in a balanced way and just stay on top of everything that's happening. All right. So now let's go on here. We're going to end off today with a little bit of gold news, which I was going to cover this article. I'll probably put it on the screen somewhere here about semiconductors and how semiconductors, require gold, platinum, silver as well, in the different components of these things, depending on what they're being used for, and how United States is coming up with their own semiconductor, I think they phrased it workforce, something like that. So that definitely could affect the prices of those things in the future. Of course, you make up your own mind and you stay on top of these type of things. These are catalysts, all right? So I was going to read that one, but we're going to skip it because I don't have enough time, right? This article here is from cityindex.com. And it says, after failing earlier this month to hold breakout to an all-time high above the August 2020 peak of $2,075, gold has drifted lower and has given back around $100 of its nominal gains, or just under 5%. This pullback can be attributed to, first and foremost, profit taking. Remember, I've been saying that for a long time. People are going to take profit. Not just that, I say liquidation. There's a lot of people who fled the banks. They put capital that they're going to keep in play, that they want to use for everyday things. They put it into gold, and they're going to use it for bills and things of that nature, especially now that you have so many people with gold cards now of all different kinds. Some are just held directly in gold. Some are tokenized gold cards. It depends. So the price is going to come down a little bit. Nothing to be concerned about, in my humble opinion. It says, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm not worried at all. It says, in addition, a recovery in the US dollar and bond yields have also weighed on the metal. Yeah, if you saw the charts today, you saw the dollar was strong. When the dollar is strong, usually everything else comes down. And it looked like that today. So, however, all these factors are likely to be a temporary obstacle. That's how I feel. Meaning our long-term gold outlook continues to remain bullish. I concur the same. I feel the same way. Why gold is likely to remain elevated? As mentioned, the longer-term gold outlook remains positive. Global interest rates are already at or about to peak. Meanwhile, inflation is on a downward trajectory across some economies, including the US, though admittedly, it has remained quite high and sticky in most regions. This in itself is actually one major reason why gold recently broke to a new all-time high. Clearly, many people still regard gold as the ultimate hedge against rising prices and economic turmoil. A strong, stable currency, if you like. Given fresh concerns over China's economy and elevated inflation across Europe and major economic regions, gold's appeal is likely to remain as strong as ever. That's not to say gold is not going to fall further from here, as clearly gold miners will be happy to offload as much of the shiny stuff at these elevated prices as possible. Well, that's also why people have to read the charts. Read the charts and look for the low. You get in when everything is low. Sometimes it might take some time until things come down. But if you look at those charts and it's all the way up at the top, I would never buy the top. I'll wait patiently. And sometimes it's difficult. And you wait for things to come down to a low price and then boom, then you get in. It says, but strong demand and limited supply growth. Because if you get in low, then you don't have to worry about that fall. When it comes up, it goes up and then it comes down. You lose nothing. It's just maintaining your value. That's how I look at it. It says, but strong demand and limited supply growth should keep a floor under prices in the long term. It says gold outlook technical analysis. It says gold's pullback and consolidation near these highs can actually be a healthy technical development, as it allows overbought conditions to be worked off through time. A bit of removal of the froth is never a bad thing, but momentum is lost, and gold bulls will now want to see a bullish signal to suggest the selling pressure is over and to boost the gold outlook from a technical front in the immediate term. If no such signal is formed around current levels between 1980-ish, 1,980-ish, right, to $2,000, then there are not many other obvious levels to look for a bounce until long-term bullish trend line shown below. They have a little chart here below, but I'm not going to display that. If you want to see that, you can go to cityindex.com. They're doing a good job over there. But yeah, I'm never worried about gold. And then I'm a little different than most people. I think a lot of individuals, from what they tell me, they're only into one thing. So like when it comes to crypto, some people may only be into XLM. Some people are only in XRP. I'm diversified through all the bank coins, have been for a long time. So it's the same thing with metals, because you'll find that certain assets, they sort of balance each other out if you watch the charts on certain assets. So for example, from yesterday to today, if you watch the gold charts, gold came down, right? And there was some good volatility, but it came down. But if you pay attention to all the charts, when gold came down, platinum went up. So there was a balancing effect. The platinum went up pretty good. And so platinum and gold were sort of balancing each other the last 2 days. And I don't need to talk about silver, right now. We'll cover silver another time. But so I try to stay well diversified, right? So anyway, now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. Hey, listen, if you made it this far, I appreciate every single person being here, every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here with me from the beginning of the channel till now. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I said this before, but through everything, thank you. This channel, listen, sometimes it's hard times for old Alphanine. And I want to continue to come and do the channel, no matter what's going on, because the channel, it does a lot of good for me to do research and then present everyone with what I found. It does a lot. It keeps my mind busy. And the love that people show me, I greatly appreciate that 100%. So sometimes I may come and I may not be 100% at my best. And I appreciate those of you who continue to hang in there with me until I get back to like 100%. Like I'm feeling much better today than the previous days, but it was hard for old Alphanine these last previous days. I had one commenter let me know, like, hey, Alphanine, we know, you're a person too. There's certain things that may be going on. Sometimes life is like that. 100% correct. And I appreciate that love. I appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging in there with me, having understanding. Listen, I'm going to always try to come to you every time and give you as much as I can of myself. I'm going to give you the best of me, whether I'm at my peak or I'm not. That's how I feel. And that's what I want to do here on the channel. Give you the absolute best of myself if I can. So anyway, I just want to say thank you at the end of the video to you if you made it this far. May goodness always be with you. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, stay strong out there, everyone. Stay safe, okay? So until next time, let's get to the money.